Hi folks, I'm Matt and it's time for a GenCon review. Alright, so as you know, last week I went to GenCon. Well, I want to give you my review and basically go through about what I thought about GenCon. I'm just going to do this video on the top 5 things I was looking forward to and how they panned out. Now, as you remember, number 5 was to meet all my favorite YouTube celebrities. And boy, did I. I got to see more than even I knew was going to be there. In fact, I got to see Steve from Snakes and Lattes. Fantastic channel. I watch it from time to time. How to Snakes is actually one of my favorite series that they do. It's basically how to build your own board game cafe. He's a very nice guy. We talked for a few minutes on the floor. We talked about board games, of course, and he introduced the rest of the crew to me from Snakes and Lattes. A joy to meet. Now, I also did get to talk to the Dice Tower people. I got to meet Z Garcia and Sam Healy, who were extremely hilarious, cracking jokes the whole time, even when I took a picture of them. And Tom Bassel, yes, Tom Bassel, the man himself was there, and boy, is that guy tall. Folks, in that picture, I am 6'3". Now, someone that kind of surprised me who was there, and maybe I just missed this announcement, was Chaz Marlar. From Pair of Dice Paradise. He was behind the counter at the Dice Tower and I got to take a picture of him and we talked for a good 20 minutes about things. And one of the topics that we talked about classic board games, new board games, GenCon, and we also talked about where is Rodney Smith from Watch It Played. He was the hardest person to find on the floor. I was kind of surprised. I had to track him down. Chaz actually told me of a place where he was going to be. So I got a ticket, Chaz got a ticket, and we went to go see him, and there he was in all his glory, Rodney Smith from Watch It Played. Folks, he is just as nice in real life as he is on his videos. Very humble guy, very nice guy. I only got to talk to him for a few minutes, so I hated that. He had to go somewhere else. He has the most busiest schedule out of all of the YouTube celebrities. The other person that I got to meet was Forrest Bauer from Bauer's Game Corner. Of course, he's a smaller reviewer, and I actually got to see him do an interview. And after that video ended, I actually got to talk to him for just like a few minutes. Now, I did see him the next day, or actually night, just in the hallways, working on editing videos. I mean, that man was working 24/7. And if you haven't checked out his channel, I'll put links to all these channels in the description. But his channel is pumping out the most GenCon coverage out of even the Dice Tower. I mean, he was really working around the clock. Like, I think I ran into him close around midnight, and there he was just editing videos in the hallway. Super nice guy. Sat there and talked to him for over an hour and had the best time. Forrest is a great guy. Please check out his channel if you haven't already. Okay, so number 4, of course, was Humans 4 by Twilight Creations. Yes, I did pick up a copy. I also picked up a copy of A Bag of Brains. I'm going to review both of those shortly in the next couple of weeks on my channel. But I did get to talk to Carrie Breitenstein, and I just want to tell everyone what she told me. Zombies 14 has been delayed to October, but it may be even pushed back even further. They're having some issues or whatnot. Now, she did say that coming out next year, early next year, fingers crossed, is going to be Martians 2, the sequel to Martians, or the expansion, I should say, to Martians. Oh, you don't have Martians? Yeah, that's right, it was short printed. Well, don't worry, because they plan on reprinting Martians as well. So if you didn't get Martians the first time around, you need to go on and get it. You can check out my review on Martians here on my channel. Martians 2, I am excited for. I did like the first one, so I'm excited to see what the sequel or expansion, keep saying sequel, I want to see what it would look like. Also, I was kind of disappointed by this year's crop. All she came out with is Humans 4 and A Bag of Brains, which she didn't even know why she did it. I said, why? She went, why not? Instead, they also focused on stuff like Zombies, the PG edition, thinking that the regular edition was too graphic for kids. I play Zombies with my little nephews, who range as young as 7 years old. None of them have nightmares, none of them get scared. They think it's kind of cool. I never thought of Zombies being, you know, not for children or whatnot. So the PG edition really confused me. And why would they spend all their effort on a less than comparable game? I wouldn't get that game. There's no reason to get that game over the regular edition. Unless you have kids who get scared easily? I don't know. But even worse, they came out with another one called Zombies Junior. This looks totally for kids. It is totally not in line with their fan base. I'm very confused on why they worked so hard to put this out instead of working hard on Zombies 14. Now, I don't run the company. I don't know. Maybe they have their reasons. Maybe they want to get into a more kid-friendly area. And that's fine, but come up with a different game. I think they just focus on the wrong stuff this year. Again, this is just my opinion. I like Carrie Breitenstein. I like Jonathan too. They're both very nice people, but I'm just kind of confused on why they went that direction. They also had a box of Mike Ike candy is what it looked like under the Zombies Junior label. I'm so confused. Is that just a marketing thing? You had to buy it? Why would I pay more for candy I can get at a store for 99 cents? I just don't, again, I don't understand what the purpose was for Zombies Junior. It makes no sense. It doesn't look good. It's just like a kid edition of Zombies. All right, anyway, I digress. Number 3 was the Writer Symposium. Now, I did get my book signed by Terry Brooks, and I did get my book signed by Dave Wolverton. I actually got The Courtship of Princess Leia and the first Jedi Apprentice book. I meant to bring them all. He said I could have, but I didn't feel that way because I didn't want him signing 16 books. But he's a really nice guy. Now, as for the Writer Symposium, a complete waste of time. Such a disappointment. And I do not blame the authors. I blame the people who put it all together, because the topics didn't match up with the author's experience. In fact, a lot of the authors kind of poke fun at themselves being on the panel where the topic really didn't relate much to them. And sometimes they didn't speak to the topic. It was very poorly put together. The moderators were incredibly awful for this. They were the most terrible moderators I've ever seen. Folks, at GenCon, I took a writer's symposium there, and actually it was planned by the authors. All of the subject matter was designed by the authors, not by some third party. They spoke to the content, and I got 2 or 3 pages per session I attended at GenCon. At GenCon, I went to 5 sessions and didn't even have a full page of notes. There was nothing in there for me. In fact, after day 2, I decided it wasn't worth going anymore, and I just skipped the rest of them. Total garbage, a huge disappointment. Anyone wanting to learn how to write, do not take those courses. Do not waste your time at GenCon. If you're at DragonCon, take the time and go to those courses instead. They're much more beneficial than any of the garbage that was put forth by GenCon. Now, that being said, it was a complete loss because I got to talk to Dave Wolverton one-on-one for a full hour. I took more notes from our one-on-one session than I did on anything else that I learned at GenCon Writer Symposium. Now, if you want to know more about my experience, tune in to the next Princes of the Universe podcast. I am going to talk about that in detail. All right, so let's get on to number 2. As you know, it was the Firefly Expansions, Kalidasa. It was there, and I did pick up a copy. I also picked up a copy of Jet Wash, Esmeralda, and their actually game mat, which has all 3 boards on one mat. Very nice. I'm going to review those also shortly on this channel. Now, the only other game I bought that wasn't on my list, and I totally forgot about it when I made the list, was the Formula D expansion number 6, the Austin, Nevada maps. I have played them just recently, and I'm going to make reviews on that one. That was the only game that I bought right before it sold out. That game sold out quick. That expansion did. There was like 3 more left when I got to it. And after that, I think one person behind me got one. There's only 1 more left, and that one disappeared later on that day. So those tracks went fast, and it's fantastic, and I can't wait to tell you why. All right, so the number 1 reason that I went there was, of course, for the board game library, right? I wanted to play some board games, and boy, did I. The board game library, in my opinion, is the best thing at GenCon. You pay either $6 in the day or $8 and play all night, whatever you want to do, and there's 1,800 board games. And folks, some of them are just your classic games. Yeah, they're going to have chess, checkers, Othello, stuff like that. But they're also going to have old school classic games. Like I saw the Jurassic Park game, and it got rented out 4 times in one day when I was there on Saturday. I spent all day Saturday in there and didn't regret a thing. Missed all my events that day, but didn't care because the board game library was where it was at. They also had like stuff like old school games, Smurfs, and Chaz Marler's game, which is called Pushover. I didn't get to play those. Those are kind of kiddie games, and the group I was with didn't really want to play kiddie games. But I did get to see a few of these games. Some games that are so rare you cannot find them online. For instance, they had the Stargate board game. That's very expensive to find online. Also, the Buffy the Vampire Slayer board game was there as well. And again, I didn't play these because I haven't heard anything good about them. I just know them because I'm fans of the series. I looked into getting the board games, but the board games were way too expensive to buy. But there they are for your checkout pleasure at the board game library. So I do like that. So what games did I play? Well, I played every game on my bucket list, and I want to tell you what I thought of them. First off, Carcassonne. It's a nice game. I know why people like it. It's just not for me. There are better games than Carcassonne out there. It's a fun game, but just not for me. I also got to play the game Puerto Rico. Again, fun game. I wouldn't ever say, hey, let's play Puerto Rico. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't add it to my collection. But if someone said, hey, do you want to play Puerto Rico? I'd be like, okay. For Power Grid gets a lot of love, and I see it in the collection of everyone I talk to. I don't know why. I played Power Grid, and I did not like it. I didn't think it was that good. Again, I think there are better games with the same mechanics that play a lot better. So Power Grid was a little bit of a disappointment. I also got to play Seven Wonders, which the whole group loved, but me. Again, I hate that I didn't like it, but I did not like Seven Wonders. I got to play Ticket to Ride again for the first time in 6 years. I never bought Ticket to Ride because the first time I played it, I thought, that was okay. Well, then I thought, you know what? I hear it in everyone's top 10. Even in the most hardcore board gamer, they'll put Ticket to Ride up in their top 5. All of them will. So I said, okay, maybe I'm being a little hard on Ticket to Ride. So I watched Ticket to Ride again, and I played it actually. It's okay. It's not bad. You know, it's a fun game. If you want to get it, yeah, go ahead. I will never add that to my collection because I just think it's an okay game. Again, I'm not trying to be a board game snob because I love Settlers of Catan. In fact, I bought that and all the expansions, and I will do reviews on those way, way, way in the future here. But I did not think Ticket to Ride was that big of a game. Now, some other games I played that I did enjoy was I played King of New York, which is kind of like the next expansion or a different game of King of Tokyo, which I haven't played, but I hear is kind of similar. King of New York is actually kind of fun. If you have kids and they love people like Godzilla and King Kong, I think kids are going to love this. I think it's a great family game. It's easy to learn. The rules are very simple. Am I going to own it? I don't know. Right now, it's no. Only because I would only play it with my nephews and probably not with my gaming group. It's not that good of a game for my gaming group. It's a fun game though, and I'm glad I got to play it. In fact, thank you for everyone who gave me the chance to sit down with them and play games. I went by myself. I didn't know anyone. I had 3 good friends from Quebec, Dave, Dan, and Chris, who were unbelievably fantastic, played almost all the games I wanted to, even had some people from Dallas, Sean, Tanya, and Sean's dad, Hillary. Loved them very much because they actually helped me play my #1 bucket list game, which is Twilight Imperium. Folks, Twilight Imperium is incredible, and it does take 8 hours to play. But again, it is an incredible game. It is a very hard game to learn. I will not buy it. I have been struggling about if I want to buy it or not, because I really want to, but I know it will hardly make it to my table, and there's not that many people who will stay 8 hours to play a game no matter how incredibly awesome it is. So sadly, I'm going to have to pass on Twilight Imperium. Would I suggest it to you? If you are an advanced board gamer, get it, because there is a lot of rules there. But to be honest, I loved that game, everything about it. Even changed my mind on Pandemic after playing it a few times. People kind of showed me how not to be an alpha gamer for new people coming in, because that's the one thing I hate about Pandemic, because everyone is playing cooperatively, so when a new person comes in, you want to tell them what to do. because you're playing cooperatively to win. And I hate that for the new player because I feel like they don't get the enjoyment, the full enjoyment of the board game. But a few of the gamers there kind of show me the ropes and show me kind of how you could play the game without kind of controlling the new person, just kind of showing them mechanics and whatnot. So I ended up buying that game and all the expansions, and yes, I'll be doing reviews on that as well. I got to play Descent in level 7, which are kind of a mix between RPG and board games. I thought Descent is fantastic. It's way too expensive for my blood to start collecting. If you like RPG, you like board games, this is the perfect fit for you. I understand why people love Descent. Unfortunately, our game master sucked. He was really bad and really messed up all the rules and kind of ruined the experience a little bit for me. Not enough to where I didn't love the game. I did like the game, but I also know it's way too expensive. Level 7 is basically just the sci-fi version of Descent in my opinion. It's a lot of fun, but again, without a good game master, that game would fall short, especially in my group. So even though I like it, I decided not to get it. And finally, one interesting thing, folks, I actually ran into Flip from the podcast Flip the Table. Now, I've never heard about this podcast. I never heard of Flip. In fact, I didn't know who he was when I sat down to play a game with him. But he had this game called the McDonald's game. It is unbelievable. It was so good that I actually went on eBay and bought one. So you're going to see a review on the McDonald's game from 1975. You're going to be like, wow, Matt, that game is incredible, because it is. But not only that, but he showed me a Donkey Kong card game from 1982, which was incredibly fun. And we played Heartthrob. Yes, Heartthrob, the girls' game from the 80s. But he switched it around and made it into a more of apples to apples kind of game by combining it with another game. So for instance, we're looking at these dreamy hunks from the 80s, and they're saying, okay, which one of these people's calls are you always avoiding? You know, which one of these people is a cat person? And it actually added a lot of fun. And 4 grown men, I think all of them were my age or older, laughing, having a great time playing Heartthrob. So special thanks to Flip who showed me all these neat board games. In fact, that little game session that we had for that hour or so was probably one of my favorite moments at GenCon. Folks, if you want to know more about my GenCon experience, please check out the latest Saturday Morning Samoflange episode where I talk about GenCon with a friend of mine, Trey, who was there as well. All right, gamers, that's it for now. Until then, game on!